Hi guys! I know there is only one topic that interests most of you today. It's the war in Ukraine and everything connected to that. And there is also a group of people who think that Russians are kind of not allowed to talk about their history or culture today because of what is happening in Ukraine. But still today I decided to tell you about this topic, the history of alcohol in Russia, since it's one of the main stereotypes about Russians in general. Recently, the World Health Organization has updated the ratings of alcohol consumption in different countries in the world, and according to the rating, our country occupies the 26th place with the indicator of about 11.7 liters of alcohol per capita every year. It's better than in 2010, but it's worse than the year before the pandemic. There is the common stereotype of a Russian as a drunkard, and probably the first person who comes to the mind as confirmation of this stereotype is Boris Yeltsin, the first president of Russia who liked to dance in public while being drunk or to even conduct an orchestra in Berlin. There is a famous phrase said by Alexander Rosenbaum, a famous Russian bard, in an interview. He said, "If I fall asleep and wake up in 100 years and I will be asked what is happening in Russia now, I will answer, they drink and steal." But has it always been like this in Russia? At times of the Kievan Rus, the ancient Russian states, people mostly consumed drinks containing very small quantities of alcohol. For example, kvass or medovukha, the drink made with honey, which in the beginning was a completely non-alcoholic drink. Wine appeared in Russia only after the establishment of strong ties with Byzantium, and it was only for the nobility. Besides, wine was diluted like 1 to 20. The state systematically pursued the policy of state monopoly on production and sale of alcohol. Even back under Ivan III, the father of Ivan the Terrible, there was established the ban on production of alcohol at home because it deprived state-owned pubs of its income. But if we are talking about that period of time, it's still not possible to talk about drunkenness as a national disease. The first alcohol reformer was Ivan the Terrible. After the capture of Kazan, he adopted the tradition of Kazan taverns. And in these taverns it was allowed to drink alcoholic beverages, but there were no snacks at all. The only alcoholic drinks in those taverns was so-called hot wine, but in fact it was vodka with the strength of 20 degrees. It was quite expensive, so the only people who could afford it daily were the guardsmen, and they did it. And about other people, they drank it only on holidays, for example, the Holy Week or Christmas. And on other days, people were not allowed to drink because otherwise they were sent to prisons. For ordinary people, the taverns became available only under Peter the Great. The emperor himself drank alcohol and ordered others to do the same. In those taverns they sold beer, which could be scooped directly from the barrel. However, on the other hand, Peter the Great established a medal for drunkenness. This medal weighed 7 kilograms and had to be worn by a drunkard for a week as a punishment. During the times of Peter the Great appeared so-called tradition of penalty glass, which still exists among the older generation. This is the tradition when a person who is, for example, late for a party has to drink an extra glass. But at those times the glass was a 1.5 liters cup with the image of the Russian coat of arms. By the end of the 19th century, Russia was quite a drinking country, about 5 liters of alcohol per capita annually. In 1895, Finance Minister Sergei Witte introduced wine monopoly. This contributed to the accumulation of state budget and completely demoralized ordinary people. The alcohol given to the hands of tax farmers was now available everywhere. Next, we are smoothly entering the 20th century, the century of world transformations. 3 years before the First World War, the situation in Russia became a catastrophe. The last Russian emperor, Nicholas II, introduced the first dry law. Dry law is when drinking alcohol, selling alcohol, producing alcohol is forbidden. The law operated until the fall of the imperial power and was extended by the Bolsheviks. For producing alcohol at home, people were sentenced to 10 years in prison and their property was confiscated. As you can imagine, of course, there was a black market for selling alcohol in the country, but in general, the measure worked. With the coming of Stalin to power, the situation began to change. We all remember the famous People's Commissar's 100 grams for courage. Besides, Stalin himself liked to drink, and he said people should drink wine. Without bread, it's not possible to work. Without wine, it's not possible to dance. After the Great Patriotic War, the euphoria combined with the hard work of rebuilding the country and the general trauma of the population contributed to the flourishing of general drunkenness. The policy of authorities contributed to this. A bright example is that near the factories there were usually points where one could drink a glass of alcohol. In the era of Brezhnev's stagnation, the country literally drowned in alcohol. We met the end of the 20th century with Gorbachev's dry law, but I must say that the results of the law were quite contradictory. The country began to drink less, it's a fact, and there was a boom in birth rate. But at the same time, vineyards were cut down and the black market of low-quality alcohol flourished. The collapse of the Soviet Union removed all barriers. The cheap alcohol poured onto the shelves. It was the time of freedom and unrestrained drunkenness. If you like this video, please subscribe our channel and our Instagram account, and if you want to support us more, subscribe our Patreon.